What a do, YouTube? Back with a little more BO2 gameplay, just for some background visuals to please your eyes, as my ever so intelligent and wisdom-filled brain machine fills your ears with plentiful amounts of new knowledge for today. So, last video I tried live streaming all this shit and then uploading it onto the tube. And the volume stuff was just all super messed up. So now we're trying it this way. And we're going to remain on the same topic, and that topic was locking in. What does it mean to be locked in? It's a good question. We hear it so frequently in our day-to-day lives, especially as if you're a Gen Z man, person, you hear this pretty much daily. But axiomatically, right? An axiom is something that we hold as our first truth, something that's very basal in our understanding. Axiomatically, what is locking in? And I've been thinking about this a lot because I myself have been trying to become locked in. And I think what I've noticed most is locking in really affects every part of your life. And you have to have it that way or you cannot claim to be locked in. So there are a lot of meatheads out there that no doubt have class A physiques, they're stage ready, right? Even if they're on gear, we all have to appreciate the aesthetic value of their physique. But they haven't picked up a book in about 10 years, right? And maybe if they have, it's a book that was written 2,500 years ago by a bunch of... We won't get into that in today's video. But some current relevant literature that can equip your mind just as you can equip every other part of your body, right? So locking in is a total affair. And then that's what I've struggled with a little bit early, is because, I will say I've locked in on the reading and writing parts of my life in the past year or two, and I still somewhat neglected fully locking in, and I'm trying not to make a metaphysical claim here when I make the brain-body distinction. They're both physical beings. I am a physicalist. I don't believe in any metaphysical mumbo-dumbo bullshit, right? Okay, we're keeping it real. When I'm locked in, you are locked in at every part of your life. And here's how I became locked in, right? It came from me going back to what not only locking in is axiomatically, but life is axiomatically. And at the end of the day, I keep arriving back at life is to suffer. And not exactly we are born to suffer necessarily because of some cosmic entity or metaphysical pretext, but rather we are born to suffer by merely being human, right? Being born as a Homo sapien has sentenced me to some level of suffering for the rest of my life, right? Simply because I am a Homo sapien. I will die. To live is to have died. Okay, just like that guy with my golden scar right there, right? When you're locked in to that extent, where it's touching every aspect of your life, you're able to take the suffering that comes from those events and change it, right? You're able to change the framing of the suffering. And I think this is what most people miss when they try to get locked in, whatever aspect of their life that may be, academically, relationships, physically. They miss the part that this shit is still gonna suck, right? And you have to be okay with it sucking. We have to be be filled with gratitude a lot of the times for what we have. If you do have enough, like myself, being raised as a white man in the 21st century in America, I've been given so many materialistic pleasures, more so than essentially everybody else that's lived in history. But you can't even begin to explain how disconnected myself and a lot of other my Gen Zers are from the totality of previous human experience. 300,000 years ago, we were living in caves. I mean, to be honest, there's still motherfuckers that live in caves today, right? And I would argue they're getting a more human experience than I ever have. I'm getting a human experience that's really just based on the last 6,000 to 8,000 years of civilization, language evolution, civilizational evolution, technological evolution. We're really just reaping the benefits of that. Not to say that there weren't huge leaps in civilizations and societies built before that 6 to 8,000 time period, before we see, the Indus Valley civilizations in the Middle East, but rather that we look at things as if they are so much larger than they actually are. One of the things that I love about being an atheist is not that you feel so insignificant, but that you axiomatically have to consider yourself as insignificant. Not in a way that you should be thrown away or that you're garbage, nothing in any sense like that, but for a matter of fact that me and the squirrel that I passed on my walk today have the same value intrinsically in the universe, which is effectively zero, beyond any physical ramifications that either of us have down the line. At the end of the day, our lives don't intrinsically matter to that extent. What matters is what we create around them. And this is what I've kind of found in the last 5-10 years, is it's so much more about what you do with what you're given, and that's very cliche, than what you try to find. Because at the end of the day, all I've found is that you're going to find more suffering, more desire, more sadness, because you're straying away from what your brain needs to be content. Right? I mean, humans used to work 20 hours a week, maybe. And work looked, and look at that nice 3-piece to end the game on Raid. Raid, just a fantastic map. So let's lock in a look for this 3-piece. Well, 29 and 12, not my best game. 1, 2 through the door. Number 3 by the van. Jeffy Epi, stay out of there. Next game we're going to play will be on Grind, little paintball map. But I'm going to keep yapping. Right? And I don't know why I'm yapping right now. And I didn't choose necessarily to do this yapping. I'm not making this an anti-free will video, but you got to throw it in when it's there. So I'm locked in, right? The key for me to locking in has been the consistency and the framing of such. Consistency being, it is your lifestyle. It is what you do. If you're not enjoying it, you're going to fail that shit, dude. When I have taken classes that I have fucking hated, I had some chud fucking professor, I'm cooked, dude. I'm cooked. You don't like the content, you don't like the professor, you're cooked. You might as well not even show up. You might as well drop the class. I did drop a couple classes because I guess I had to. Don't look at the records. All right. But if your heart's not in it, if it's already a chore for you to complete a task, you're cooked. Straight up, you're cooked. And it's not to say that, day to day your ability to want and to go do something is going to vary. Everything kind of exists on this gradient, right? But if you don't enjoy, or can't even find a level of content with what you're doing, you're so fucking fried, dog. This is what happened to me in baseball. I straight up, and look at this spawn. So I cook this dude. I'm about to go in there, capture the whole point, and 4 of the other team members, they're all spawning on me in the back there. That was tough. I hated baseball, and I think that was because my dad was a real dickhead about just everything. We don't need to get into I pay my therapist enough to hear about that, so we can move on. But I for real just hated baseball, and I was like, okay, but I didn't want to be there. I didn't necessarily enjoy going out there and grinding every day, and that's why I got cooked. That's why I didn't go far enough. I can say blah, 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 injury, natural talent, but at the end of the day, I just fucking hated that shit. I hated showing up because of what it meant. And I was cooked.
Friendly UAV inbound. Hard point identified. Hostiles have the hard point.
Yeah, I apologize for that little blip in no speaking there. I accidentally turned off my headset, and I'm not quite sure how I did that. But now I've got a cold Coke Zero that I'll open up for you right now. And I'm locked in because I got a Coke Zero in my hand. Right? Now this is going to be important, so I need everyone to listen to me say this. I've had motherfuckers come up to me and shame me for having a Coke Zero in my hand. And what these chud troglodytes don't fucking recognize is that I'm no bum. I'm no scientific illiterate chud like the majority of Americans. I read the study on aspartame dangers. And you know what? You know what they say about aspartame? They say aspartame is more dangerous than drinking regular sugar soda. First off, horse shit. That is big soda, big sugar, straight up fucking lying to you chuds to try to keep you fat. And I'm fat too. So there's nothing I can really say about that, but I'm less fat than a lot of motherfuckers out there drinking full sugar soda, and I'm not gripped by the lies of capitalism like you chuds are. Okay, so that's number one. We'll listen to that. Number two is the paper. Okay, the paper that everyone references in the aspartame hate community, right, is a study they did on rats where the rats ended up with some sort of liver cancer. You would have to give, so okay, they gave the rats aspartame, Coke Zero, whatever bullshit you want to say, right? Some of the rats ended up with liver cancer. So they say if you drink aspartame, you get liver cancer. One thing, motherfucker, the sun gives you cancer, right? And the sun disappeared tomorrow, we all die. If Coke Zero disappears tomorrow, I'm also dying in a video game, all right? Okay, so there's that. So they're studying on rats. Those rats were so hopped on aspartame, it would be the equivalent of someone my size drinking like 88 Coke Zeros a day. I drink about 4 Coke Zeros a day, motherfucker. I'm not scared of no liver cancer. I went outside with no sunscreen on today. I should be more scared about that than the fucking Coke Zero, you chud. Alright? Read a fucking science book. Read any book, actually. I'm so sick of these illiterate motherfuckers walking around like we have to listen to them, and they haven't picked up a book besides the Bible or the Torah in literally their entire lives, right? So that's neither here nor there. But we can't let people who aren't locked in affect our locking in, right? And they will. But it's just mitigating their effects. Cooked, okay? So I got myself a little excited there, which is good. You should be excited about things. It makes life more interesting. When I'm locked in to this extent, it feels pretty good. I think the easiest part to not locking in has been being unemployed. And it's, I'm not necessarily looking for employment right now because, I am slightly worried about the pedophile president, Donald Trump, sending me to die for Israel and, the genocidal state of Israel. So I'm a little bit worried about that. So we're going to make sure we're not going to get drafted to the Epstein war yet. And then I'll look for a job. So as soon as I figure out I'm not dying for Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and the Israelis, I will find a job. Until then, though, I'm going to just stay locked in, stay reading, stay working out. And that's neither here nor there. I'm going to take a little sip of the Coke Zero. You can enjoy. I think I'm, yep. Oh. Good shots. Oh, Coke Zero's so good. So, I'm locked in. And my favorite part about this is I don't have a set goal. And this is what makes me most excited for this lock-in specifically. I've pretended to lock in before, but it's been for actionable, tangible, holy shit, talk you chud, tangible fucking goals. This time it's not. This time I'm taking what I learned in the past year, voice crack, I'm taking what I learned in the past year, and that is to just accept the suffering. Life is what it is. We can only do what we will, but we cannot will what we will. All the free will stuff that you've heard me talk about, if you know me at all. And now applying that to the gym and my physicality. I'm working out because I guess it makes me feel less shitty. At the end of the day, truly, that's what I'm doing. It makes me feel less fucking shitty. When I'm in there pushing the weights, it doesn't matter that our president's a pedophile. When I am benching, it doesn't matter that 90 million Americans voted for a pedophile in Donald Trump to be president. That doesn't matter. right? And that makes my life less shitty, and that should be your goal. That's the goal of the fucking lock-in, dog. Okay, we're 15 minutes in, and we're finally to the main synthesis of the video, right? Let me take a quick sip of Coke Zero before we get into that. Okay. Why do people lock in? They lock in because they want something. They lock in because they want the girl, they want the money, they want the car. Guess what, motherfucker? That is desire. Buddha figured that shit out 3,000 years ago. All that's going to do is make you more sad. What I'm doing is I'm learning to be content with every conscious moment I have. When I'm under the heavy bar, it don't matter. I could be dying in the Israeli desert right now, right? I could be starving in Sudan. I could live in Utah. Fuck, that's scary thoughts, right? There could be some scary shit. So where would I rather be than under this bench lifting some heavy ass weight, trying to be less fat? It's about the frame. Locking in is about the framing. It's not about the goal. It's not about the destination. It's about the consistency, and it's about the framing of that shit. You have to learn to be content. You keep chasing, you keep desiring, you're cooked. You're cooked, bro. How do you think billionaires end up stealing more money, bro? Billionaires don't wake up and they go, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I've had enough. I've had enough. I've got more wealth than anyone could possibly ever imagine. And then they stop. When has that happened, motherfucker? It doesn't happen. You keep desiring stuff, you're gonna keep on desiring more shit. Bro, what do you think happens with drug addicts? What do you think happens with these criminals keep doing more and more? They get hyped up, right? Why do you think... I won't. It truly does come down to that, right? When you suffer, what are you expecting? What are you expecting? What are you expecting to happen next? What are you expecting to change? It is how you frame it. And I'm not saying to get your leg chopped off and be fucking happy about it. But what I am saying is, if TikTok goes down, or whatever other first world bullshit problem we have, it ain't that serious. It ain't that serious. You have to change the framing of it. You have to look at it a different way. You have to lock in. Because you don't know when you can't lock in anymore. Right? And as much as this shit sucks sometimes, as much as life is fucking bullshit sometimes, there are those glimpses, those moments when you look into somebody else's eyes and you see the whole universe, where everything you go through for a split second is worth it. So learn to find contentness in the times of suffering, just to be able to feel the sheer joy of eating at Taco Bell or sipping on a cold Coke Zero.